Small Business Development Workshop, How to Do Business with California Government, on Thursday, May 15th at Victory Park in Pasadena, 2575 Paloma Street. Get certified and register as a new bidder. Sell products and services to the state. Learn about pre-bid events and more, and it's all free. All you have to do is sign up at www.calbcc.org. That's www.calbcc.org. Registration for the Small Business Development Workshop, How to Do Business with California Government, begins at 9 a.m. and the workshop concludes at 1 p.m. on Thursday, May 15th at Victory Park in Pasadena, 2575 Paloma Street. This is a community call to action from the California Black Chamber of Commerce and KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome in. Happy weekend. You are locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. And we are here to get into some things, some entertainment topics, trending headlines, all of that. You know, it's your front row to the culture. And tonight, we got a lot to talk about. Andy's always on theme, maybe even more than he even knows. He's on theme because we're talking Taraji saying that she would not wish single motherhood on her worst enemy. We'll get into who she was having that conversation with and her reasons for saying that. We're also going to talk heartbreak and a dash of betrayal and a big old side of legal drama. You know, Lil Kim, the legend, she is an artist. And, you know, there's some drama going on with this artist. They were alleged to have been in a relationship, but now he's spilling, saying that he's been done wrong through no fault of his own. And he's dishing on what allegedly went down and how Kim is blocking him. So we'll see. And we're also going to give you legal updates. You know, it seems like it's coming daily on Shannon Sharpe and Diddy. We are right around the corner from jury selection in the P. Diddy trial. So got some updates with that. But before we get into all of that, right? Got some conversation starters for you because it's spicy, it's messy, and, you know, we got all the deets for everything. So first up, Usher, his Rendezvous in Paris film that came out in theaters last fall is now, I believe it was December, is coming to BET Plus. So if you missed it in theaters, you haven't seen Usher live, you can check out that special show that he did in Paris for the Paris concerts and get up close and personal with Usher. So shout out to the legends putting it down with concert films. I love that. And listen, speaking of new films, right? And we'll probably get into a little bit of this more later because we do have a guest in the building tonight. Entertainment host, boxing analyst, host of the best women's boxing show, period. Jeandra LeBeauf is in the building. And we're going to probably get a little bit into more details about this, but Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, is dropping May 23rd. And yes, it is the final one. And we're going to talk a little bit about what's coming up with that and the legacy of that franchise. So we'll get into that. And listen, do you guys eat Crumbl cookies? Are you a fan of them? Well, you know, they took the internet by storm. They have all of these like pop culture flavors and stuff like that. And a great deal of the promo for these cookies came via social media, TikTok in particular, Instagram, and they're being sued by Warner Music Group. They are alleging that Crumbl allegedly used 159 unlicensed songs, including tracks by Beyonce, Dua Lipa, Taylor Swift, and more, to juice up their viral TikToks and Instagram posts. Crumbl could be on the hook for $23 million in damages if Warner Music Group gets their way. And they're saying that the influencers didn't put ad-sponsored post, the disclosures on their social content that they were creating on Crumbl's behalf. And that's a big no-no. That is a fine that is considered not suggestive advertising, deceitful advertising. And they are on the hook. They're not the first to be hit with a charge for this. Another brand got caught up in this a few years back. I think it was with Sony. Well, actually, the American Hockey League got in trouble for promoting music that was Sony Music owned, as well as a U.S. cosmetic brand named Afra. They were involved in a lawsuit, and a couple of others, including 14 NBA teams. So, Andy?
I feel like these music labels need to calm down and relax. We enjoy the music. Let us play it. We can't even play it on our social media platforms without getting a strike. I'm like, come on. Seriously? Just for playing it?
I know they want to be paid for their art, and they consider the basic assessment of it is that our music is helping to boost up whatever is in your video because of the popularity of it. I'd wager that at this point, it's probably a little of both. There are definitely songs that have taken off because of the TikTok attention, and artists should be paid, but they got to work that out. Because, but if you are a business and you are promoting ads and putting music in it, recognize that if you haven't paid a licensing fee and don't put sponsored in your post, baby, you could be hit too. When we come forward, we're going to get into these trending topics and headlines. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're riding with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. If you missed our KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall, the Altadena Eden Fire, 100 Days and Counting, you missed an evening of reverence, reflection, and reality.
You gotta live in the reality because this is it. Every day, you wake up, is this my life? Don't stay in denial because yes, it is. Don't stay in bargaining where you're praying for a miracle and if it wouldn't have happened, then this is what I would have done. It did.
Our panel participants kept it real. Really real.
I think, number one, it's amazing to me how we ignore systemic racism in our community, and as a people, we've apologized for so much, but when will we stop apologizing for what we have paid for? Because the truth of the matter is we paid for this.
You can always count on KBLA Talk 1580 to give it to you straight, no chaser. When you love folk, you tell them the truth. Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
Chuck McDowell here. If you were misled or lied to in any way when buying a timeshare, right now is your wake-up call. With the tariffs, economy tanking, and inflation rising, you might need to ask yourself this question. Is owning a timeshare a good idea? With all the economic uncertainty, you need to protect yourself and your family. Don't look back and say, if I'd have only got rid of that stupid timeshare they lied to me about. It's time to stop thinking about canceling your timeshare and finally get rid of it and be smart with your money. At Wesley Financial Group, we've saved 48,000 families an average of $65,000 in lifetime payments. Give us a call. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we will cancel your timeshare permanently or you'll pay nothing.
Call Wesley for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-954-3322. 800-954-3322. 800-954-3322.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more entertainment news with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in. You are locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. So, if at any point you want to get in on this conversation, hit us up, 800-920-1580. Of course, we are all over social media at KBLA 1580. Me personally, Stiletto Jill. Hit us up, say hi, share your thoughts, or hop in the YouTube chat. It's already chatting in the YouTube chat. Let me get to some of these comments right now. Ben Frank says, Warner sucks. Royal Jenkins says, hey to the chat. Fahima says, see how much were Usher tickets in Paris. Now one can enjoy him in the comfy and privacy of their own home. No, that's right. And Ben Frank also says Warner and Disney own over 80% of entertainment right now. I mean, look, they do. And it is an interesting paradox because, as I mentioned, social media has helped push up so many songs in this current era, revive certain songs from the past that didn't get their just due, and make people relevant again. And the artists do deserve something for their creativity, but how much is right? How much of that comes from the social media companies? Do we as consumers, should we have to pay anything? And if you are a business, is there a certain threshold where it's not just having fun on social media? I mean, there literally is, but I'm saying, is there a threshold for them as far as a standard? Whereas, no, this is just fun. No, you're actively selling and promoting. So I think that obviously we're 15 years deep in Twitter and Instagram at this point, a little longer than that for Twitter, which is X, and you guys know. But there's so many different things that are shaping the future and how we're moving and how media is changing and all of these things. We're going to see a lot of this being addressed and adapted rapidly, I believe. Listen, I told you that I'm not alone tonight. I got a side co-host, Jeandra LeBeauf, one of my faves. As I mentioned, her accolades run deep. You can catch her on many red carpets, in junket interviews, writing in Vegas for your favorite fights right there, up close and personal relationships with all of the boxers. Yeah. How are you this evening, Jeandra?
I'm really good, and I'm really stuck on what you've been talking about of what is the fine line between just using music for fun and using it for social media, because it's there. You can click on something, you can add the music to, it's already preloaded into Instagram. And what if your stuff goes viral? You really had no intention of really content creating or advertising it. It does. And you think, I'm good at this. Does somebody slide you a paper across the desk and say, hey, you got to sign on the dotted line because you are now a different type of person, so you can't use the music anymore? So what is the fine line? What is the chat thing? Where do you draw the line?
The chat is TikTok is with Sony. I mean, because there was different points where music was being pulled from some of the sites. I know I had a couple of my TikTok videos go mute because there was music on there when they were going through their tiff with Universal. And so I think physical sales are almost non-existent at this point for music. Streams, they battle back and forth with how that pie is divided up and cut. Yeah. And remember, we heard Snoop talking about who says my 1,000 streams are only worth 3 cents or whatever the amount is. So it's a precarious position. Who is
the originator of the valuation? Who thought of that?
He who holds the money, right? I mean, initially it probably started with pushback because Apple was the first to, in theory, stream music. I have this theory that I always say: Tower Records, The Warehouse, any of those old
brick and mortar
music record company, not record companies. What do we call them? Record stores. Lord, it's been so long since they've been around. But I feel like they dropped the ball by not transitioning to online fast enough because they were locked into their real estate and what was in store. They didn't take advantage of online. It's ridiculous that primarily we get our music from Apple, and then obviously Spotify came into the mix, but that is because the refusal of brands like Tower Records, etc. It's just like with Netflix and Blockbuster. Andy, was that what you were about to say? Boom, there it is. I feel that. We did you have something else to add before we get to Fahima on the line?
No, I want to talk to Fahima and see what she thinks.
Fahima, we want to hear from you. Fahima from DC. How are you this evening? This afternoon.
Greetings, Jill, and greetings to your guests. So I put primarily what I was going to say in the chat. But the thing is the reality is artists need to be adequately compensated for the intellectual property. And this has been a major issue, particularly with TikTok. And it's not just with music, it's with dance moves and all sorts of things. The only exception is the fair use clause, which allows you to use excerpts for criticism, for news, and also for education. Because I actually use film and music as text in my classroom. Like I notoriously use Lupe Fiasco, Be Bad, Dad D, and Macklemore's White Supremacy. And it's a fair use because I'm using it to teach in a classroom. But if you're profiting in your business and you're using the intellectual property of an artist, I'm sorry, there's no excuse. They need to be adequately compensated.
I feel you, but I do think that there is, and you mentioned fair use, there's a fine line because sometimes you even get dinged for fair use. You think about the fact that we're talking about Reels and TikTok. So in theory, these are no longer than 60-second snippets, which kind of fall under the fair use thing. I deal with fair use, obviously. I had a website where I wrote and utilized, clips and snippets. I deal with it now because we go to film junkets and they send us assets from the films and so forth. But sometimes
you can't use them.
You can't use them because YouTube doesn't understand that, we have permission. And they'll be like, and no. And you can't, and no one can see your video or things of that nature. So I think that it is an interesting position. I do believe artists need to be compensated, but where's the line between I'm also helping you and what is fair use in this current digital era?
If an entity is generating revenue from the use of someone else's intellectual property, they should not be profiting off of the intellectual property of someone else, and they need to share the profits, plain and simple.
I got you. I feel you.
It happens a lot in the boxing sphere when we're out and we're doing press week things. You might go see the fighters do an open workout or something, and they're playing music in the background. And if that music is picked up by YouTube and you're trying to work, you cannot monetize. And it's not part of me as a content creator, as a reporter, and an interviewer. The music is not critical to my story. It's just background noise. But if it hears it, it's a wrap. So it's kind of, how do we differentiate what's what? I do agree that artists need to be compensated for their work, but it's just so gray and hazy all over the place and just trying to find footing for everyone. It's tough.
But there is, and I'm last thing, there is a portal of music that's in the public domain that can be used. So why does one have to use the intellectual property of someone when they're just using it as bed? Some of the music is corny.
But some of it is hot right now for the youth. I'm not
saying that. I'm not saying the artist. I'm saying the stuff that's out there that's available to use where you're not going to be charged. I forget where it's from, but I know that there's a bevy of music that can be used that there is no copyright attachment to it. A lot of it is just instrumental.
Yeah, but it is. There's stuff that's there, but it's generally not the stuff that people will gravitate towards, and that music generally is just meant to be underneath a bed. It's not like different, if we were to say, oh, we're doing boots on the ground right now with our fan, we could get struck down, but it's promoting the thing. It's a fine line, and it really depends. Thank you for your call, Fahima. As always, we appreciate you giving your insight and wisdom. So we're going to get into this Taraji P. Henson topic because I thought it was, interesting. Taraji was a single mother. We know that she graduated at Harvard with a newborn. I mean, not Harvard, excuse me. Howard.
Calm down, Bisons. Calm down.
Yeah, Howard. Shout out to the HU. I get it. And in her interview recently with Michelle Obama and her brother Craig, she talked about the fact that she would not wish single motherhood on her worst enemy. And what she has to say is very much true. But
isn't her son like 30 years old now?
Her son is probably about 29, well, about 30, 31, because Taraji's about 54. So. Right. Well, let's listen to what she has to say, and then we'll discuss.
Yeah. I wouldn't wish being a single parent on my worst enemy. Mm-hmm. Literally, because, think about when you're exhausted. Yeah. And it's like the baby's crying, oh, can you go get him, honey? There was no honey. Yeah. I was honey. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So if I worked 12 hours and I come home, honey. I was still honey. If the baby's sick, everything fell on me. Mm-hmm. And I just remember one day I was on the sofa and I just wanted to give up. Mm-hmm. But that's not in me either. Mm-hmm. I think those thoughts, but then my ancestors go, girl, you better get up.
So, I mean, that's real. And certainly, it's so interesting, but it also got me thinking, right? Because what she said is 100% true. We know that to be true. We know that is the experience. And there are a lot of sacrifices if you want to go after your dreams, as well as you're being a parent and you're doing it by yourself. Mm-hmm. But the flip side of that, right? Something that we don't often talk about at times is there are women who are in relationships or marriages that are sometimes just like a single mother. Absolutely. When it comes to that child and that care. I think, obviously no one can see into the future, but married, single, or whatever, it is important to, one, obviously when you're dealing with a mate, understand what type of person you are dealing with, right? Are they a helper? Or are they, that's you. I do this.
You do that.
We got to have those conversations, right? And I think about all of these young girls, because we've been talking a lot lately about the young ladies that are, Anthony Edwards' situation, Zion Williams. It's a bunch of them that are having some things pop off. These aren't new as far as pregnancy. And I know these young ladies are banking on that money, but sometimes that money doesn't last for 18 years.
Absolutely not.
And if they're telling you now, like, it sounds all good, but when that money is gone, you need to recognize the potential position that you could be putting your child and yourself in.
And money can only buy so much. It can't buy time. It can't buy attention.
Right.
And it sure can't buy when honey has to get up and get the sick baby. That's for sure.
Right. So, I mean, I also wonder, though, right? Is that even a concept that people tap into anymore? Because we talk about village and having a village, right? Isn't that part of, if you are a single mother, right? And again, we know the stereotype of leaving baby with granny and going to hit them streets. But I mean, I think regardless, mate, a village is important, no matter if you're in a relationship or not, for children in these times.
I'm going to have to revisit this, because thinking of the platform she was on and who she was talking to, I wonder what even led to them landing on this topic in particular. Talking to Michelle Obama about single motherhood. Like, how did that even land? Chad, if you've seen it, tell us. But do you know?
I think I don't know the whole thing. I watched a bit around it, but I think ultimately it's her struggle, what she dealt with to get to where she is. Mm-hmm. And I know Taraji, sometimes, as of late in her interviews, I think there's a lot of joy there, but there is a lot of pain. There's a lot of hurt in her experiences, and it has been coming out in interviews as of late. And so I think she's just maybe exploring those things in a more open fashion, or more willing to talk about it at this point in time.
She kind of lands between eras, because you have the era of, say, our parents, where they tell you don't say anything, don't air any dirty laundry, anything. And then you have this younger generation, I just want to tell too much.
Right.
And she's landing in between there. So I applaud her bravery. But it also makes me a little sad to say I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. I mean, I don't have any love lost for any perceived enemies of mine. But it almost kind of puts I don't know, it just feels
a little icky. A little icky.
Because if I'm the child, I'm feeling like, oh.
Right, like, yikes. Dang,
it was wholly terrible.
Right, and again, respectfully understanding what it means to be a single mother, and what a working single mother, and what that entails.
Right.
I understand the point she was making, but I, like you, felt a little...
Yeah, I feel like if my daughter was watching that, she'd be like, well, nothing. There was no joy. That this is something you wouldn't even wish on an enemy. Like, good grief, Mom, sorry.
Right.
I didn't ask here.
So, Royal Jenkins says Taraji needs her money from negotiating. Pretty Brown Mimi says Michelle asked her about her origin story. The podcast is interesting. I figured it was about her origin story because, as I mentioned, I knew that she was pregnant at Howard when she graduated, and actually had a friend that was good friends with her when Taraji first moved out here, and she used to watch her son for her sometimes when she would go to auditions and things of that nature. But it's not, especially when you want to go after something in Hollywood, because there is no stability in that whatsoever. So you are taking a risk following your dreams.
But even to flip it all the way around, when you think historically of the type of characters that Taraji has portrayed, would she have been able to embody those characters without that experience?
That is a great point. When we come forward, we're going to get into more trending topics and headlines. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. Baby, that is a point.
But it would be even worse if you heard this from somebody else. Everything that I've been doing is all bad. I got a chick on the side with a crib and a ride. Been telling you so many lies, ain't none good, it's all bad. And I just wanna confess it's been going on so long. Girl, I've been doing you so wrong. And I want you to know.
You're in the know with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. President Trump is urging NFL teams to draft Shedeur Sanders after he was not picked in the first round. Trump praised Deion Sanders' legacy and called Shedeur, quote, all set for greatness, end quote. The National Museum of African American History and Culture will keep its Woolworth's Lunch Counter exhibit on display. The decision follows a Black Press USA report and comes as Vice President J.D. Vance joins the Smithsonian Board. Former NFL star Shannon Sharpe is facing lawsuits from 2 women accusing him of assault. Sharpe denies the claims and has stepped away from ESPN. The cases have led to the release of explicit texts and personal details about the accusers. And the NBA will honor Nat Sweetwater Clifton, Chuck Cooper, and Earl Lloyd, the league's first Black players, starting with the 75th anniversary of their 1950 draft. Their legacies will be celebrated every year during Black History Month. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
It's a crash in Mid-City on the 10 eastbound before National. The right lane is blocked. Delays away from Centinela out of Santa Monica. Also in West LA, it's quite the incident here with a bunch of protesting happening along Wilshire Boulevard in front of the federal building. So as a result, Wilshire Boulevard is off limits between the 405 and Veteran Avenue. And from the 405 freeway, they have shut down the off-ramps from both directions of the 405 to Wilshire Boulevard. So it's just a really tough drive as a result. Surrounding surface streets are an absolute nightmare. South 405 loading up away from Getty Center.
Experience adventure at Palm Springs Aerial Tramway. Ride the world's largest rotating tram car. Explore over 50 miles of scenic trails in pristine wilderness. Dine at 8,500 feet with awe-inspiring views and get that perfect souvenir. Adventure at its peak. Learn more at pstramway.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers are healthy for Game 3 tonight at Minnesota. Only one player is on their injury list, backup power forward Maxi Kleber. Kleber has not played since January 25th because of a foot injury. The Lakers and Minnesota are tied at 1-1 in the best of 7. 6:30 tip-off tonight on ESPN. Because the Denver Nuggets are the number 4 seed in the Western Conference playoffs and the Clippers are number 5, the Nuggets have the home court advantage in their first-round series. The Clippers, up 2-1 in the best of 7, can take away the home court advantage with a win Saturday in Game 4. A big-time opportunity for the Clippers. 3 p.m. tip-off at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. The Dodgers start a 3-game series at home tonight against Pittsburgh. The Dodgers, in 3rd place in the NL West, have lost 3 of their last 4. Since that 8-0 start, they have not looked like defending World Series champions. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 and the California Black Chamber of Commerce invite you to the Small Business Development Workshop, How to Do Business with California Government, on Thursday, May 15th at Victory Park in Pasadena, 2575 Paloma Street. Get certified and register as a new bidder. Sell products and services to the state. Learn about pre-bid events and more, and it's all free. All you have to do is sign up at www.calbcc.org. That's www.calbcc.org. Registration for the Small Business Development Workshop, How to Do Business with California Government, begins at 9 a.m. and the workshop concludes at 1 p.m. on Thursday, May 15th at Victory Park in Pasadena, 2575 Paloma Street. This is a community call to action from the California Black Chamber of Commerce and KBLA Talk 1580.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. SMP volunteers work in their community educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an SMP open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit caspvolunteer.org. Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. The Live Your Life organization mentors young women, helping them break negative mindsets and see beyond their surroundings. Through career exposure and hands-on training, they're encouraged to think big, stay focused, and make positive choices. Founded by Nikisha Mama Boo Smith, who transformed her life to become a community leader. Live Your Life is changing lives, but they need your help. They're raising funds to keep their new building open and expand their programs. Your donations will support food, clothes, hygiene products, and holiday giveaways. Visit liveyourlife32.com. That's LIVEYOLIFE32.com to help today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I
back in. We are partying up in here. Shout out to Sherelle. When I was in high school, people used to tell me that's what I look like. That's just a random side note. Yeah, shout out to Sherelle. I didn't mean to turn you on. Listen, it's the weekend, so I hope you got your snacks and libations. I have been slipping on saying that because you know you got to have them when we get into these topics. But one thing is for certain. You definitely need your snacks and libations right now because we are about to get into some more tea, some more salaciousness, some more foolishness. We are getting into, and welcome back in KBLA Talk 1580. You're live with Jill Munroe here in your entertainment news update. And I'm not alone, of course. I'm joined by Jeandra LeBeauf, entertainment journalist, host, extraordinary boxing expert, all of the things. So we're going to talk some Diddy and Shannon Sharpe, right? You know, I find it interesting that in some ways there are some parallels in these two situations. Because, you know, stripping all of the other things aside and just focusing on the relationships with much younger women, right? Some proclivities that they probably did not want the general public to know they were involved in. And really, even if you're just doing basic missionary standard issue, do you want anybody to know? Right? Nobody wants their... Andy's like, I'm cool. We can talk about it. Listen, you know, I think most people want their personal bedroom habits to stay personal, right? Unless they're on OnlyFans. But we've been exposed to a great deal about Shannon Sharpe. Now, I've been mentioning all week about the 2010 lawsuit that got him kind of sidelined at CBS back in the day. And sure enough, which we knew it would, it has resurfaced in the commentary. And essentially, what that case was about was, it was an ex-girlfriend. Her name is Michele Bundy Evans. If you want to know what Michelle looks like, go ahead and Google. I can save you the trouble of asking the question. Was she? Yes, she was. So she said that she accused Shannon of sexual assault and later filed a defamation suit in 2023 after Shannon made public remarks about the situation, claiming that it was not legitimate. It wasn't real, right? What she said is that when someone famous is in the news, all sorts of people crawl out of the woodwork. These accusations are often nothing more than, I'm sorry. This is what Shannon Sharpe's attorney said about all of these latest claims coming back to surface. That basically these people are lying, trying to get some attention and more money. And the timing is interesting. He was in a long-term relationship with that other woman as well. She said that they had an argument, maybe about him stepping out. Mm-hmm. He forced her to her knees. Things supposedly happened. And that when she tried to break it off with him, he then stalked her. So, wow. This is separate from the information that while he was at FS1, an incident happened where someone that worked, I'm not sure in what capacity in production, alleged that Shannon may have gotten a little handsy with them or something. There was no suit brought forth, but allegedly there was some money that changed place. And that is why it has never been sort of referenced as another case. But considering where we are now, right? And Jeandra, I'll let you speak to some of this. Morris Phillip is like Monique and Kat tried to warn Shannon, but he was thinking with the wrong thing. It's a little more than that to me, but I will put a pin in mine. Jeandra, please share your thoughts.
The immediate one is the writers of SVU are working overtime as we speak. So
Facts.
we know this is going to be ripped from the headline, probably in the next few weeks. But not to make light of it, it's triple fold. You know, Shannon's talked many times about his humble beginnings and where he came from. And now he has reached a level of success where he's like, there will be no. He probably at some point, and I'm just presuming that there would never be a no to him ever in life. No closed doors, no barriers he could break through. And a lot of that extends into non-professional activities too. In his case, does he have any friends? Does he have any people who some checks and balances? Because I feel like there's none. I feel like people tried to tell him, because I watched Nightcap. Not talking Club Shay Shay. I've watched Nightcap from the beginning. I've listened to a lot of those conversations he and Chad were having. And I felt like I talked about it, not on air, but just in conversations with friends. Oh, I think Shannon's getting a little caught up. Oh, Shannon needs to watch that. Like all the talk about Miss B Nasty. And first I thought he was doing it to combat the rumors about his sexuality. But I also think a little bit of when Shannon was popping back in the 90s, yeah, he was that guy, but social media has changed a lot of things, and these younger women are different in their approach, in their openness, and I think he got a little too comfortable in thinking he was that dude and getting caught up in the hype. We're not going to, release anybody's ages in this studio. Just know everybody's grown up in here, and people have children that are older than this young lady who is making this allegation. There's not a 19-year-old that could come to this door right now that would make me say, ooh, let me get your number. That's just, I can't do it. It's just giving a little PDF to me, and I don't like it.
Andy?
I think it's a little bit different.
For men,
considering you're a woman.
I know it is. It is.
So listen, when we come forward, we're going to get into, oh no, we're good? Okay. Well, I got one more thing to add, and this is alleged rumor. I'll direct you guys where you can hear more of it. I'm not playing it. But there is an audio out there of a Matt Barnes live stream, allegedly, that he said that he believes the dime was dropped on Shannon and Shannon's activities by one Shaquille O'Neal.
Whoa.
And there's audio allegedly of Matt discussing the various ways why because Shaq and Shannon have had some beef over the past year. And Shaq is allegedly known to be a little vindictive. Shaq referenced it because Shaq has caught wind of it. Mind you, it's not top of the conversation piece, which kind of piqued my interest that Shaq was in such a rush to parody it on his social media about him calling and getting information on Ernie and trying to ruin Ernie and Chuck and Kenny, playing into the joke. But much like the last time Shaq did that, it was true. So I don't know.
Allegedly.
But allegedly. There's a lot of things going on. So when we come forward, we're going to get more into this topic. We're going to get into a little Diddy, and we're going to take a phone call. All that and more, you're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're riding with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Military veterans and active duty service members, you could become a certified cyber warrior with just 12 weeks of training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, and IT pros with these skills often enjoy abundant opportunity and a great lifestyle. Protect our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. Cordell & Cordell is the largest family law firm in the country, with over 35 years of helping clients navigate divorce. That does give us certain advantages, for example, in focus and resources. But being big doesn't mean less personal or less local. Our attorneys live and work in your community, and as neighbors, they understand the challenges your families face. If you're a guy facing divorce, remember, Cordell & Cordell, a partner you can count on.
1455 Frazee, San Diego. CordellCordell.com.
At Providence, health equity is the foundation of our community health initiatives, ensuring care reaches those who need it most. Heart disease is the leading cause of death in America. African Americans face a higher risk of life-threatening issues like hypertension, the number one cause of stroke. 55% of Black adults have high blood pressure. The good news is 80% of heart disease is preventable with healthy lifestyle changes and patient-centered care provided by the Providence Heart and Vascular Institute. From routine screenings to advanced procedures, Providence provides comprehensive care for the heart conditions that overly impact our community by ensuring patients receive treatments tailored to their needs. Let's stop the trend of being 30% more likely to die from heart-related problems. Take charge of your heart health with world-class cardiologists who deliver the compassionate care you deserve. Visit providence.org/SoCalHeart. That's providence.org/SoCalHeart to request an appointment.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more entertainment news with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in. You are locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. Let's get into Mimi from Jacksonville, Florida. Hi, Mimi. How are you?
Hey, Jill. Hey, Jeandra.
Hi.
I just want to say, last night I was watching your show. I didn't really get into the first night of the draft, but you told me, I learned from you, that Travis Hunter is coming to my city.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And I just started thinking the Shannon Sharpe, entanglement mess. I don't know what you want to call it. It's a lot of stuff going on. And I was just thinking all of these young black men have been watching black men play football for years. And it seems like every decade, 2 or 3 black men get caught up in these weird, crazy scandals. And
That's
I know
a little
they
more
have
than 2 or 3.
Well, yeah. And they have all this training and all these people helping them. I mean, for years, but it's like, here we are again. He's almost 60, and it's all kinds of sex, all kinds of, somebody said something about animals. I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know. That's what I've heard.
Wow, move.
I haven't heard that, but you might be right. Listen, the flesh is weak, but the mind is strong.
Okay.
And I'm wondering, what is it going to take to help black men control
therapy,
their genitals? I mean, are you going to lose your whole everything because you like whips and dog collars?
I think
that's crazy.
I think that as the generations continue and we move into positions of greater power and access in the country, I think, you know what? No, let me not even try.
Power corrupts. Power corrupts. I mean, and I'm sorry, I'm just going to say, like, sometimes that is why they say the true test of an individual, of a man, is not when he has nothing, but when he has everything. So I think that it is just a fact of life. People are going to be tempted by the dark side, by things that are off center. It has always been that way, and it will continue to be that way. You hope that people learn better discipline, whether it is with, their mental fortitude, their sexual discipline, whatever. But it is also a process. And I'm, again, not excusing anybody, but some of these things never really should make the light of day. And it is more about, because I'm not gonna, what you do is your business. I'm not really trying to kink shame, even if I think that there should be some shame to it.
Right.
I'm gonna let you cook. However, I do believe that sometimes you got to take a step back and recognize when you need some growth.
And when you have tremendous things to lose, that should give you some sort of pause.
No, because they think that they are invincible.
Can I ask y'all this?
Yes.
Why is it that it's always brushed under the carpet with white men, but with black men, everything, it's just gone? It's just gone.
I feel like it is and it isn't, depending upon the positioning. I think that with us, especially now, yeah, these are powerful individuals, and with powerful individuals, people target them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that Shannon has not done any of these things. I'm just saying, though, that sometimes these things seem to come up when there's been a shift in whatever the agreement was. I'm not saying that that is wrong, right, or whatever, but people are opportunists. And sometimes, like I feel with Shannon avoided a lot of black women. He says he didn't, but he did for a lot of, after his kids' moms think he may have felt they thought I was ugly or whatever the case may be. They gold diggers. I want to go over here, and not understanding that white women do the same thing, or others just may roll out in a different way because culturally they're different, right? Mace said this on the thing. And I think that you get comfortable. You start to believe your own hype. And that is what we are a victim of. Thank you for calling, Mimi. We always appreciate your call.
What do you think about even his approach in the immediate aftermath? Forgive me, I know you probably talked about this, but just going directly to, I want to be transparent, and I want to do this, and I want to do that.
I'm going to let Andy handle that.
Andy, what do you think about that approach?
I 100% love it, because I feel like in any situation, anybody that's been accused of something, I'm going to let my lawyer speak. I always felt like if you truly know that you're not guilty of a situation, you should open your mouth off the rip. I don't need my lawyer to speak for me, knowing damn well I didn't do anything. So I absolutely love that. You don't hear that from too many people. They always have their lawyer speak.
I mean, I understand both sides of it. I understand why, to Andy's point, you do want to hear somebody say, like, Jay kind of did too. I'm standing on business. Stop playing with my name, right? But I think that Shannon may have taken it a little too far. I think, just because, again, what he's being accused of and how he came out full force, and I understand he feels like he's defending his name, but maybe let the lawyer, after you say these are absolutely egregious and untrue, let your lawyer drop all the tea.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? That's the type of stuff I'm talking about, because it looks like you're beating up and intimidating this woman again, and that's what people are going to say.
And Shannon Sharpe has said this several times. You want to go low? I'm going to take you to hell.
I feel it. Fahima brings up Harvey Weinstein serving more than 2 decades in prison, rightfully so. We've seen lots of people go to jail behind Marv Albert.
Yes.
Back in the day. Remember, it was very scandalous when it came out about teeth marks and things of that nature. Yes. Andy.
Oh, yeah, we ain't forgot about you. Shout out, I was about to say the homie, but shout out Josh Giddey.
Man. There's a lot that has happened. So you got to look at it from all sides. We have Eric from Compton. Compton's in the house. I'm just thinking about Compton. Shout out to Carson, Eric. My bad. Neighbors.
Yeah, I'm not in Compton.
I know. I apologize. I immediately apologized. You are in Carson, which has the second largest black population of California as a city. So shout out to Carson, California. How are you this evening?
And I'm good. And
you got to talk fast, Eric. We
okay, I just want to ask a question of your guest, Jeandra.
Yes,
what do
sir.
you think is Diddy's best case scenario and worst case scenario?
For who? For Shannon?
For trial. No, for Diddy.
For Diddy.
best case scenario, worst case scenario. I do see that, and we're going to talk about that when we come forward about his.
We don't got no more forward.
We don't
so
have
you
no
better
more
talk about it
forward.
now.
Okay, best case, worst case for Diddy. If he didn't believe he did it, I see that he turned down a plea agreement. I do agree with that. I think that's the best that he can do. But hey, if I'm going down, everybody's going down. Because if you're doing a whole trafficking ring, Diddy flew to the countries, got the girls, brought them to his house, drove them there, put them at the door. We all going down. Everybody has to go down. If it goes all the way, everybody got to go down. The whole syndicate.
I mean, I hear that his defense is already shaping up to be he's a swinger lifestyle. She was a willing participant as far as Cassie goes, and the other people, these were private activities. No one was being forced, coerced, or any of things of that nature. And we know that the Cassie video has been ruled by a judge. It will be shown to the jury in its edited form. And do you have any final thoughts, Eric?
I do. I like Jeandra's comment, and I'm pulling for Diddy only because I feel like what happened to him could happen to any man, especially a powerful one. I mean, I know it's a little egregious what he's been accused of, but I feel like any man in that same situation could have went through something similar.
I see what you're trying to say, but no, because, if you're not beating somebody up, you can't be accused of that type of violence, right? Now, listen, maybe you want to get local friends to come and not fly them out. Seems like a perk, but the laws are different. I don't know.
I think that ultimately it's going to be that with the tape with Cassie,
but he's not even accused of domestic violence.
Exactly.
And I'm going to say this, and then we're going to go, and I don't mean to cut you off.
That's okay.
Remember, I keep bringing up that Cassie's approach in her lawsuit was from an employer-employee situation, not just relationship. And that is kind of the crux of what the federal government's case is hinging on. And they have another victim, number 2, who is a woman who allegedly worked for him and blah, blah, blah. Look, thank you for tapping in. Follow Jeandra LeBeauf. Hit up social media. I'll put her up there. And, of course, hit us up here every Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. We appreciate you. We love you. We'll talk to you next week.
Peace. I'm feeling you, and I'm feeling we should both be free. If we were through, just imagine what life be.
Mommy, I put my best foot forward, though it's kinda awkward, cause I'm pigeon-toed and bow-legged, but you ain't too proud to beg. First time we got along, you gave me some hit, and be calling me ever since to do it again. When we met, you was 7, just treating it 10, and now you're my lucky call. The days get shorter, nights get long.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. President Trump is urging NFL teams to draft Shedeur Sanders after he was not picked in the first round. Trump praised Deion Sanders' legacy and called Shedeur, quote, all set for greatness, end quote.